When it comes to our e-waste, we do our 3-step process like we do with everything. We sort it, we store it, and then we ship it. So what happens is we do e-waste events and the product comes in from those events. And then we sort it. First thing you do is sort it. So we have 11 different types of e-waste we sort. Everything from tube TVs to computers to laptops, right? And then we have peripherals. I can never say this fucking word. I actually looked it up on Google how to say it. I'm just gonna fucking press the button because like my brain doesn't work. Here we go.
Peripheral.
Peripheral. I don't know why. That doesn't look like peripheral. Anyways, peripheral 1, 2, and 3. Brought to you by our good friends at URT, Universal Recycling Technology in Janesville, Wisconsin. Shameless plug for those guys. But whatever, they hook us up, right? They buy our e-waste. So we have 3 different types of peripherals that we sort material by. And this is our high-speed process. If you've seen videos of us in the past, we basically have magnets laying around and we have snips laying around and we have this is the I-beam, but it's a post, but steel I-posts laying around. We use the magnets to stick pieces of paper.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
And then snips on that. So that's it. So what we do is we take the e-waste and something like this. This is all a bunch of VCRs. I see a VCR, I see speakers, I see random like computer pieces, right? So first thing I look here is like, oh, what's going on here? Oh, that's a computer fan, right? So it's like, here's a super high-speed process. What is the thing? Oh, it's a computer fan. Cool, where's it on the list? All right, peripherals 2. All right, this is my number 2 bucket because it has fans and stereos and VCRs in it. Right, that's how simple the process is. It is that simple, right? So that's our sorting process. And then we put it in Gaylords because that's where we can fit the most amount of material, get the best price for it, and ship it with the most simplicity. And then we take the Gaylord and we weigh it. And then it comes over this area here, which is our storage area, right? So then all this, like that couch has got to go out, it's on its way out. Here, we have 345 pounds, 505 pounds. That's it. So we know we have 345 pounds of tube TVs right here. We have, what is it? I can't read the writing. 200, no, 500, it is 500. 505 pounds of peripheral number 2. I got 793 pounds of LCD monitors, another Gaylord of tube TVs, and then I ship them out. That's it, right? So 3-step process, but the key is I have an area to sort it, I have an area to store it, and I have a place to ship it. Once you solve all 3 of those questions, you can take any product type, any material, and you can make money on the back end versus losing money and or introducing it into the landfill. So I challenge everybody here, start with one product type. Scrap is the simplest one because there's scrap yards everywhere. You can check the price on a daily basis and then move your game up, right? Get into clothing, get into e-waste, get into cardboard. I don't care, get into horse manure. There's a great story here in the Trash Talk Business Podcast, episode like 10-ish, I don't know, where Casey Bubba Lawrence down from the great state of Texas talked about making money from horse manure because it happens. This has been another lesson in, I don't know what the fuck we call this thing. Sort, store, and ship. Make your fucking junk removal dream a happening thing today. Fuck it. There's this magical thing in your pocket called a smartphone. If you don't know what fucking answer, look it up.
In the computer. It's so simple.
So this is real simple. I got introduced to a guy that does e-waste stuff. So I went and sat down with him. I found him. I said, hey, you do e-waste stuff. Let's sit down and have a meeting. He told me, oh yeah, I take all my stuff and I ship it down to URT. I'm like, that's cool. Let's have a meeting about that. So whatever. We had a great meeting. Fucking forget the Digital Bridge, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They pick up from the universities. They pick up from big hospitals. They will clear out hundreds of computers. They refurbish the ones they can. They and then reuse them. Right? That's awesome. They're beautiful. But they don't take a lot of residential stuff. They like it when it's large lots of things. Right? So we had a meeting where, okay, if we get big computer accounts or big school accounts with a lot of computers, we're going to send it to Digital Bridge. They're a nonprofit, great guys over there. However, when we do an e-waste event, they didn't really want that material. So I asked them, well, what do you do with that material? And they're like, oh, we ship it down to URT in Janesville. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I called URT in Janesville from the magical Google machine. And I was like, hey, what's up? And Steve was there. And then I met Steve at the e-waste event in New Orleans a couple weeks back. E-scrap down there in New Orleans. And then I got talking to him. I was like, hey, what do you guys want? What don't you guys want? How does this work? And now we've been shipping a product since before that. But it is that simple. The goal is to get as close to the processor as possible. In junk removal, we're in the collection end. There's collectors, recyclers, processors, smelters. Some people I know will take e-waste and they'll smelt it all the way down to the gold. I met some great people at that conference in New Orleans that they'll smelt their own boards and extract the gold, and they have a kiln in their backyard. I don't want to be in that business. I want to be in the collector business and get the product to a recycler or to a processor. That's the place I want to play in the market, because in junk removal, we deal with hundreds of different types of material. And if you hear me talk about it enough, I'll say product, right? Because it went from material, right? Junk, right? That magical word, junk, in somebody's house. And now I talk about how it's a product, because it really is a product. It's a product that I sort it, I store it, I ship it. It has some value. At the very least, I don't want to put it in the landfill because that negatively impacts the world. And I ship out the product and make the dream happen, all because I took a little bit of time to do research. I will save you all those steps. Watch the YouTube videos, like, comment, subscribe, all that stupid bullshit people talk about, not because it inflates my fucking ego or because I make money doing it. I don't care. But I'm going to reduce the amount of barriers you have to doing the right thing here in the junk removal industry. Look at me, I'm sitting on top of a Gaylord because it's a really cool stage shot. But the point of me sitting up here is, look, I am living among my friends, my e-waste friends. So LCD monitors and things like this are my friends. We don't like to put our friends in the landfill. Here's the problem. 70% of the toxins in landfills come from e-waste, even though e-waste only represents 2% of the overall waste. Inside of all of our electronics, we have different types of metal. Some that are recoverable, some that aren't, some that are toxic, some that aren't. I'm not going to get into all the science. Look it up on your DNR's website. Don't put this stuff in the landfill. It's that simple. When this stuff gets in the landfill and it starts to break down, like lead, mercury, things like that, they end up in our water. We don't want that shit in our water. So again, I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. If it has a cord, it is either scrap or it's e-waste. Those are the only two places it lives. If it has Freon, make sure that you can go take it to your scrapyard and they can extract that Freon, because we don't want to be breathing that shit in. I will continue to stress the importance of recycling, because it's about, first and foremost, taking care of our planet, right? Money aside, we got to take care of the planet. We only got one, and Elon Musk hasn't figured out that whole Mars thing yet.
Thank you for anyone who's bought our flamethrower. You will not be sorry, or maybe you will.
Right? So let's take care of our fucking planet. Let's not introduce e-waste, and go out of your way to educate those around you. We've been doing e-waste events this year. I think we have 10 or 11 e-waste. We got one more event yet. We have serviced over 2,000 vehicles at those events. So these are people that didn't have a resource. We have gone up and beyond to provide that solution. I challenge everybody here in the junk removal industry. Don't just think about your bottom line. Don't just think what's good for me today. Think about what is going to be the best for my community and my planet and all the things that I do. And I'm going to do the like hop off the fucking Gaylord and walk away thing because it's like super dramatic. Small servers, routers, pagers, digital converters. Yeah, see, it's on the fucking list. It's not on the list. See, it's that simple. Fucking, we find shit in there that shouldn't be in there. Take 3 of these home, different colors, so that way I can hook some shit up. See, this is like the reuse purpose. Like there are plenty of times in the warehouse where I need a cable or cord, especially when we had a videography company, and it'd be like, oh, we need this blah blah obscure thing. And it's like, I don't know, let me go jump in my scrap bin, and I would just dig through, especially the data cable. And basically every cord you'll ever need is in there somewhere. You just gotta go fishing for it. And then magically, when you work in a warehouse long enough, you find your fucking coffee cup again. It's fucking cold. All right, so it's really nice today, but it's supposed to rain tomorrow. We got a bunch of e-waste temporarily stored outside for whatever reason. So I'm calling my warehouse guy because he's in charge. And even though I own the company, I'm not gonna start moving shit until I get his blessing, because that's what leadership looks like. Yo, this very special occasion, I need your permission to use the forklift. Okay, I just want to move that. I want to move the e-waste that's up in the rage room area down inside. It's supposed to rain the next 24 hours. Yep. Yeah, I'll take care of it. All right, that's it. I was literally calling to get your permission to run the forklift. That's it. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. All right, thank you, Steve. All right, so that's leadership mentality, leading versus leader-follower. Steve's our warehouse guy. Leader-follower is I tell him what to do because I'm the leader, and that's that. Leader is we have a two-way conversation because he has certain responsibilities. Our forklift is on its last legs. We've had a forklift order for over a year. Before I fire up the forklift and start moving stuff around, I'm gonna have a conversation with him so that he can tell me whatever twitchy things are going on with the forklift. And also him and I are on the same page, so when he comes in tomorrow and he sees stuff moved, he doesn't lose his shit. He's very aware of what's going on. So it's not even a question of me telling him what's going on. I'm asking him how we can achieve the end state together, what I need to know and what he needs to know so that we're combat effective. Fucking dramatic walk off. All right. Yeah, so microwaves. So there's some things that can go e-waste or they can go scrap. Those are gonna be a lot of your small appliances, microwaves. Those can go either way, whether it go e-waste or scrap. We generally put microwaves and things like that in their scrap because there's more money to scrap them than it is to put e-waste. Now, other things you asked about were like dehumidifiers, air conditioners, anything with Freon. E-waste recyclers do not want to mess with Freon. Thankfully, here in the state of Wisconsin, we can intermix our Freon and non-Freon sheet iron as long as they know that what's going to be intermixed in the load. And so we're able to intermix it as long as we don't cut the lines, the Freon lines, right? So we'll put refrigerators, air conditioners, dehumidifiers, all with our sheet iron. And then they'll generally ask, there's in our scrapyard either Freon pile and non-Freon pile, right? And the Freon pile is all mixed. So check with your scrapyard before you start mixing that in. I know, I think it's Minnesota, you can't mix in Freon with the other sheet iron. So everything here, whether it's grills, microwaves, Freon, dehumidifiers, a lot of this is stuff that came off the e-waste drive that it can go either way. We'll still take it. Even like lamps, people give us lamps on our e-waste drives. We'll still take it. We tell people it's got a cord, we'll take it. 90% of it's e-waste, 10% of it's gonna be scrap or something else. Oh yeah, this pallet jack sucks. Palletize everything, that's the key. Simpler to move around. Life is simpler on pallet. The whole world revolves around pallets. It does, from shipping containers, everything is palletized, even within a shipping container. Everything in this world that goes from A to B is modular in some way, shape, or form. So stick with that methodology. If obviously it works for some, it should work for everybody. So all these are pre-sorted, so I don't want to mix unsorted stuff with pre-sorted stuff. So this is a additional space that we have. I just got to stage it somewhere where it's out of the way because we're getting ready for winter. So, in the winter we have the luxury of sorting and storing some stuff outside. Or in the summer we do. In the winter we don't have that luxury. Yeah, the yellow lines here are for fire code. So I'm gonna get 2 rows and I'm putting them in this way. That way we can pull them out this way because this side is for forklifts. This side is for pallet jacks. So I'm gonna stage them up like this so that I can pull them out one at a time. So yeah, we have the fire department come in and they make sure our yellow lines are protected. They don't come in too often, but really it's not about the fire department and being the code. It's about creating a safe work environment for our employees. If we ever do have an emergency or a fire, last thing I want to do is, put people at risk because we were lazy or our processes weren't well defined. So when I talk about life, things that make me twitchy are things that are unsafe, unsecure, immoral, illegal, unethical. If it doesn't fall in one of those 5 buckets, it doesn't really bother me. However, if it does fall in one of those 5 buckets, it don't take much to get me twitchy. We'll take those pallets that were outside, that were about to get rained on, move them inside. It'll make the next guy's life a lot easier. And the next thing is when you have space, you increase the amount of capacity you have in time without additional cost, right? Because we know when it comes to junk removal, you have time, you have distance, and you have capacity. Those are the 3 factors of junk removal. So right now, we don't have the time or we're not gonna prioritize sorting this material, but we have the capacity by just moving it to a different spot in the warehouse. It's that simple. So once you figure that stuff out, and distance-wise, it's right in our warehouse anyways. We already got it here. So once you factor that out, when it comes to junk removal goes from a complicated thing to a simple thing, even when shit's not in the right spot. I don't know why we have that card. The card sucks. So a lot of people will say, oh, I don't have a big warehouse. I don't have all the tools and the dollies and the buckets and the bins and all this shit. It's like, yeah, well, that's a pretty good point, but neither did I when I started, right? I didn't sit around and bitch about what I didn't have. I took advantage of what I did have. Like all these containers were in the building when I bought it. The other people thought they were a liability. They're old petroleum containers they no longer needed or wanted. I cut the tops off of them, had our fabricator put some high-speed brackets on them to reinforce them, and now it's how we move product throughout our warehouse. So it's like, yeah, you might be right. I mean, you might not have shit today, and with that attitude, you're not gonna have shit tomorrow. But if you have the attitude of, I'm not there yet, well then, that's fucking optimistic. You're no longer a victim. You're a victor of your story versus a victim of your situation. It all comes down to fucking mindset. Oh, this is cold storage 1, we call it. This has always been the flex space. So when we were first running our business, this is where we put a bunch of like resale. This room was resale. Actually, at one point we used to have an auction right over there. Like that spot right there, that little nook there was a stage where we would do live auctions. Like no shit, people were sitting right here in chairs, like auctioning stuff And then back there in that room was all the nice stuff, you know? So it's like 5 years of doing this in this building, shit changes. And you gotta be willing to adapt and overcome. We first started running this business out of our garage, 700 square feet, and we figured it the fuck out. More space actually created more problems. Because when we had a finite amount of space, we had to get really good with our processes because we didn't have a choice. Once we got space, we got fat and lazy. Because we're like, oh, we're never gonna run out of space. Well, that was a joke. 6 months later, we ran out of space because we weren't disciplined. So for people who are like, oh, once I go get a storage unit or once I get a warehouse, life is gonna be easier. No, fuck that. It's more complicated because now you have more options. You know, the goal is to keep it simple though, right? And that's life. Life is complicated. So you got to figure out how to make it simple. It's no different than junk removal. You go to a whole house clean out, hoarding house, it's like, well, where do I start? Well, one bite at a time, you know? You got to go simple. So when I talk about cleaning out a whole house, there's only 3 different methodologies. You either clean it out by room, you clean it out by product type, or you clean it out by size of the product. That's kind of it. Everything comes down to just those 3 choices and a mixture of those. And then it's fucking situation dictated. So it's like, someone would say, well, it's fucking hard to clean out a whole hoarding house situation. And it's like, well, that's your fucking opinion, man.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
That's fucking subjective. It ain't hard for me, right? It's complicated. Yeah, well, yeah, it's fucking complicated. That's why I get paid to do it, right? That's why not everybody wants to do it. But complicated is solvable. Complicated can be simplified. If it's fucking hard, you already fucking lost and you didn't even know it. That's it. Talk to anybody that does junk removal. It comes down to those three methodologies. And for people watching this, if you got another methodology, I'm fucking ears. I'll argue that it doesn't work. Or not that it doesn't work, but that it still doesn't fall in one of those 3 categories. And every house is different. And the more jobs you do, the more houses you see, the more repetitions you get in, the more combat effective you're gonna be because you don't have to fucking relearn shit. I've been doing this long enough, I've learned a few things, but every time I walk into a house, it's gonna be fucking new and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be like other jobs, but there's still more to it, you know? So for people who are like, oh, junk removal is tough. How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, come up with the fucking processes and procedures, run them. If they work, stick with them. And if they don't work, stop fucking doing them. Oh, there's tons of processes I got rid of. I mean, we don't do resale. Resale is probably the one thing that we don't do anymore that we used to do a little bit of. You know, we had our own resale shop. My brother, one of our employees, used to go to a flea market. We've sold things on Facebook Marketplace and had an auction company in. We did in-person auctions over there. We did online auctions. So we used to get into it. I've never really been into it because I'm more interested in focusing my energy and getting jobs on the front end than reselling on the back end. I want to keep it out of the landfill. So I want to keep it out of the landfill with the least amount of parts and pieces, the least amount of complexity as possible. I want to make it simple, you know? Hey, that table's donatable. Cool, fucking donate it then. I don't need to put it on the floor, advertise for a sale, have a sale, and then it may or may not fucking sell. I want to take it over to fucking Habitat for Humanity, never see it again, and have them make a couple bucks, you know? Like, we had 3,000 square feet of space dedicated to resale. Habitat for Humanity has 30,000 square feet, right? So who's going to be more combat effective reselling shit? Well, they are. They got a built-in audience, right? People go to resale to restore all the time. It's like, well, what do I have to do? I just got to drive it over there? Well, that's fucking simple. It's a lot simpler to load shit on a truck and drive it over to Habitat to keep it out of the landfill than it is to create a new fucking business. There's a lot of processes through the years. Or things evolve, you know? We went from taking a couple TVs here and there to a place to now we ship out a box truck at a time. But it's like when we first started, we didn't know what you're doing. We took things to Milwaukee self-help at first in unmarked cars because that's what we did. We don't do that anymore because as a commercial company, it's not for us. But yeah, when I lived in the city of Milwaukee and I was doing this as a side hustle, I knew all the tricks of the trade. But as your business becomes more mature and you become more professional, you do things more professional. You know, there's a lot of guys out there, it's like they want to do things the cheap and easy way, but they wonder why they're not scaling. Well, it's not scaling because you're not changing your mindset. You're not scaling your mindset, right? You got to think, right, how do I get out of the truck? How do I take care of my employees? How do I empower others? How do I keep shit out of the landfill? Once you start answering those fucking questions, you'll get out of the goddamn truck, right? How do I generate sales? But if your mindset is, how do I get out of the truck without fucking doing anything different? Well, you're already fucked. And I was very fortunate since, started my business. My brother was always in the business and I was on the business. So, You know, if there's 100 things you got to do every day, he took care of 50 of them. So that means there's only 50 things for me to think of. And now, out of 50, I got it down to 10. And then out of 10, I got it down to like 2 or 3. So like today, we're shooting videos, you know. I'm not banging jobs. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not going to networking events. I'm not fucking doing accounting. No. I'm hanging out with y'all, shooting videos, releasing content to the world so that we can have a greater impact on this industry. I'm not going to create videos and tell you how to do your job, right? There's plenty of other guys doing that. God bless. I'm going to tell you what to do, or not what to do, fuck that. I'm going to tell you what I do on the back end that's important to me, and you can either take 100% what I say, 50%, or none, and I'm going to keep fucking doing it. We got one more e-waste event a year, so push comes to shove. If we don't process any e-waste in the next 2 weeks, I'll fill up all the rest of this area, and then when the winter comes and we get a slow day, we'll process it. It's that simple, you know. We used to have our backyard and have a bunch of shit over in the backyard. We just threw tarps and everything over the winter, and then it snows one time, and we're like, all right, we'll see it in 3 or 4 months, you know. You tarp it in November, get snowed on in December, and maybe you'll see it in March. That's the seasonality of this business and our area, you know. You just deal with it. There, so about 20 minutes worth of work for me to move this stuff out from, you know, outside, inside, move it over here, save us a lot of dicking around later, a lot of headaches and frustrations if this shit gets rained on, you know. So, and then the whole process slows down when you're factoring weather. So, as a leader, I don't want to be part of the day-to-day. You know, the business has to run without me. So I make it simple and repeatable, but I also have to take the time to recognize when there's times where, you know, some work from me is going to make or break the next step of the process. And that's just life, you know. That's part of the military mindset. It's like, you know, you got to place the mission first and figure it the fuck out.